Welcome back, Leo Lions. This is Mrs. Morgan with today's lesson over surface area using nets. So what in the world is a net? So first of all, when we're finding surface area, we're going to be working with three-dimensional shapes. So think of a box of cereal that you have in your pantry, a box of Cheez-Its, anything in a rectangular shape that's three-dimensional. That's what we're going to be finding the surface area of. So now think about opening that box up. So unfolding maybe the bottom of the cereal box and then cutting down one of the sides. So if we were to cut maybe right here and then open it up and lay it flat, that is what a net is. So this picture here shows this three-dimensional shape if we cut one of those edges and laid it flat. So to find the surface area, we want to find the area of all of the faces. So we want to find the area of that rectangle. We want to find the area of this rectangle. And you don't have to show this because I'm going to end up coloring them different. This rectangle, all of the sides we're going to find the area of, and then we're going to add them all up. Now, the nice thing about rectangular prisms is if you think about the front of this box, well, the back side, you can't see it, but the back side is identical. So I want you to think about this main shape on the bottom. Let's say this one here. If we fold everything around that rectangle, so these two side rectangles, this one here and this one here, they would fold up kind of at you, and then they'd be identical. Same thing if we were to fold these other two. So we take the rectangle over here and fold it up. Well, it's going to match up. It's going to be across from this one here. So think about folding this up and how is it going to create a box? Well, here I highlighted that pink box on the front. So that is the exact same as this rectangle right here. And when we fold it up, then it would be looking at us, and the one then directly across from it, the rectangle across, these are identical. So once we find the area of one, well, it's going to be the exact same for the other one. Now, the top of the box is up here. And that rectangle, that face in our net is right here. So we would fold that pink rectangle up to kind of be the front, and then this green rectangle would go on top, and it is identical to the base. We can't see it in that three-dimensional picture, but those two green rectangles now, they're the exact same. And then same thing when we pull up the side. So here is the side of our rectangular prism. Well, that is this rectangle on the side. So a rectangular prism has 6 rectangular faces. We're going to find the area of each one of those faces and then add them all up. So I'm going to start with the front and the back, those pink rectangles. So let's draw a picture of that pink rectangle that we are working with. Now, keep in mind, what we are actually finding here is the area of this rectangle. So the area for a rectangle, you want to take the length times the width. So the length and the width. So now let's take a look at our pink rectangle. So here we are told 10. So that is the length. Now, we aren't given the width measurement. So let's keep looking. Up here, we aren't told. Now we know all of these are 10. All of those horizontal lines in our rectangles. Now, take a look over here. We're given this measurement too. Think about when we fold this rectangular prism, that pink rectangle is going to come up. This blue triangle is going to come up. Well, these two sides right here and right here, they're going to connect. So 2, and then we know the other side of this rectangle is 2. So to find the area of that rectangle, we will take 10, the length, times 2, the width. 10 times 2, we get 20. So there's our pink rectangle. I'm starting at the very top here, and maybe it would help to number these. So that's our first rectangle, and that's our first rectangle there. Okay, now next one I'm going to go straight below, so I'm going to go to this green one, and we're going to do the same process, but our measurements are not going to be 10 and 2. The length is still 10, but then the width, notice this 4 over here, so we know the width is 4. So I'm again going to draw my rectangle. It's a little longer in the width, but it's still the same process since it's a rectangle, length times width. So the length was 10, but this time our width was 4. So that second rectangle, the green one, is 40. Right? Then I'm going to just keep going down. So I'm going to go to that next pink one, which we already figured out, and we know it's the exact same as that first pink one. So we want to find the area, length times width. Well, it's the exact same. So 10 times 2, that next pink one is also an area of 20. So that's our third one. And again, I'm going to go straight down. So we're back to our green one. It's the same dimensions as the other green one. So it's 10 for the length and the width is 4. So number 4 rectangle. Again, it was a little wider, but the same length. So notice I am drawing the picture of the face. I'm writing down what the formula is to find the area of that face, and then I'm plugging in the dimensions for the length and the width. And there we have now 4 of the 6 faces of that 3-dimensional shape. So the last we need to do is find those sides. So we have these 2 little flaps on the side. So same process, our rectangle is still length times width. We know this is 4. And then we don't have this other dimension, but remember in the other blue triangle over here, we talked about that being 2. So we know it's the same over here. The only way for the box to close up is for them to have all those same dimensions. So we have 4 and 2 for the blue rectangle. So we'll do the picture. We know that we're still doing length times width. So 4 times 2. So that one is 8. And I'm going to label that 5th side. Doesn't matter which one because they're the exact same. But we'll label this one 5. And then we're going to find the 6th face the exact same way as the other blue one. So we'll do it again. The area is length times width, 4 times 2. So that other blue rectangle is 8 as well. So there we go. We got all 6 sides. So the last step here, we want to find the total surface area. So that means we want to find the area of all 6 of those combined. So we're going to take all of those surface areas, so 20, and then we did 40, then we had 20 again because it was identical, and 40 because it was identical to the other one, and then 8 and 8. So we're going to add all of those up. So 8, 16, I'm going to carry my 1, 3, 7, 9, 13, so we get 136. Now, in surface area, whatever our label is, so maybe centimeters, inches, whatever it is units, and then we square it. So there are 136 square units, and I'm saying units because there's no label on these. It doesn't say 10 inches or 10 centimeters. So it's 136 units squared. So there is how you find surface area using a net. You will find the area of each face, add it all together. Okay, we're going to do a second example, and this is what we call a triangular prism. And the reason we call it a triangular prism is because the bases are triangles. So think of, we have this triangle on the front, but we also have the triangle on the back that we can't see. So here we have a picture of the net. So the triangles I am highlighting or outlining in blue, these are identical. So once you find the area of one, the other one's going to be the same. Okay, then we also need to find the rectangles on the side here. So we have a rectangle here that we can physically see. Now there's a rectangle on the bottom that we can't see, that the prism is sitting on. And then we also have the same rectangle on the other side here. So we have to always think about those faces that we can't physically see in a three-dimensional shape. So the nice thing is all three of these rectangles, this middle one, that's where the base is, or the prism is sitting on, and then the two faces on the outside, so this rectangle and then this rectangle, they're all the same. So we want to find each one of those rectangles, and remember, it's still the same process. So the area to find this is length times width. And we have three of those green rectangles. They're all the same. So you want to then find what are the dimensions of those triangles. I'm going to draw a better triangle. So what is the length and the width? So we saw up here the length, we have 8. Now the width would be the other way. We don't have that one labeled, but we do have it labeled down here, and I kind of covered it up. So the width would be 3. So length times width, we do 8 times 3, and we get 24 for the area of one of those rectangles. And like I said, all of these are the same. So we'll find the next one, 8 times 3, and we'll do the third rectangle as well. So all we have left then are our two triangles that I outlined in blue. So I'm going to draw the first triangle here on the left side of that net, and then the right side of the net has the other triangle. So how do we find the area of a triangle? We want to take the base times the height and then cut it in half, divide by 2. And I'm actually going to save some room here and make my pen a little smaller because we have to plug in base times height and then divide by 2. So let's look at those triangles and find the measurements. So we know the base is this 3 here. We know all the way across is 3. Let's look at the other triangle, and here it is telling us the height. How tall is that triangle? And it's 2. So the base and the height are 3 and 2. So base, we'll plug in 3 times 2 for the height and divide by 2. So on the top, 3 times 2 is 6. So 6, and then remember fraction bar means divide, divided by 2. So that triangle is 3 units squared. And we're going to do the same thing for the triangle on the right. It has the same dimensions. So 3 times 2, and then divide it by 2. So 6 divided by 2. And we get that triangle is 3 as well. So last step, we want to find the total surface area. We want to take those 2 triangles and the 3 rectangles and add them all up. So 24, 24, and 24. And notice I am stacking. You could also do 24 times 3 to figure out what all 3 of those are together. You could do 3 times 2 and then add those up. So there's multiple ways to doing this. So 4, 8, 12. Add 3, 15, add 3 more, we get 18. And then 2, 4, 6, add your 1, so 7. And then don't forget, we always label when we are talking about geometry. So whatever the units would be, centimeters, inches, miles, maybe, whatever it is, units squared. So there, that triangular prism is 78 units squared. So surface area is finding the area of every single face on the outside, adding them up, and it's nice when we have a picture of a net so that we can individually find each area and add them up. There is a good set of instructions here with some steps, and that's what we did on each of those 2 examples.